also, we can document this for anybody who's not here with us. Hi, welcome back. Glad y'all are here. Thanks for tuning in. I see you, Heather Ashley. I see you, Katie Dodson. Glad that you're here. And Larry, he wins for being first today. So yeah, thanks for being here. Okay, so tonight is all about this next step in the process, creating your college list. And there's one other thing that we're going to talk about tonight too, but I just want to go ahead and throw that out there, that's kind of like the end goal, is that we're going to talk about making that list. I was actually in a meeting recently about with our staff, talking about like all of the things that we've been working on. And it was kind of fun to like look at this checklist that's on the screen, where you see like, okay, February is, gone past now, like we are actually in March and nearing April. And so, those, like I've said before, those 3 tasks that I'll give you at a time: creating that Gmail, and then studying for the ACT. Maybe that third one is one that you've been able to do, the researching and scheduling a college tour. That's not a requirement, but that's one just to have on your list, on your radar, as something to do. So yeah, we've got the ACT behind us. I'm really excited for the juniors to have done that this one time. Now they have a great, they have a great frame of reference. They know what it is. It will not be their first rodeo should they take it again. And that's always helpful when it comes to planning ahead and knowing if you do decide that you want to take it again. The next couple of tasks that are going to happen in March, which, obviously we're like more than halfway into it. But we'll work on it this week in English class on Friday, particularly, is identifying their dream team. Each junior is going to identify their dream team, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. And then also they will hear about threshold questions, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. But you can kind of look ahead and see, like, the big goal that we're trying to hit is that, yes, we're going to create the college list, and that's kind of towards the end. These are the tasks that lead up to it in March and in April. So just know that, that's something that, like I said, we'll be working on in English classes, particularly on Fridays, just to make sure that everybody has, is getting all of the information, but also has a little bit of time built into their school day to work on it. Okay, I mentioned identifying the dream team. Okay. I know it kind of sounds cheesy, but it's actually like a really, really important part of this process in planning for after high school, is that, it's a big transition. You students who are here you're going to need help from other adults, and these are adults who you know and trust, and who you feel like know you, for better or for worse. So these are people who you would consider to be on your dream team, and like really truly identifying who those people are is an important part of this process. So as it says on the screen, their dream team supports you with wisdom and guidance, sometimes with accountability, like to be able to say, hey, have you finished this? Or when do we need to work on that? But the big thing that comes up for students here at Crosstown is that students graduate from here with letters of recommendation. And that's for anybody pursuing any path, whether they are planning on using those letters of recommendation for college applications, or if they want to be able to have them for an apprenticeship or an internship that they want to pursue after they graduate. Those letters are critical. You guys all, like, you guys know, parents, that like when you are applying for an opportunity, whatever that looks like, it's really important to have the perspective of other adults who know you to be able to tell the story of who you are. So that's a big part of identifying who's on your dream team, is also identifying like which teacher is a teacher at Crosstown who you feel like you students feel like has seen you grow and maybe seen some challenges for you, and then also seen you grow from those challenges. And there can also be people who maybe are here at the school who haven't had you in the classroom. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe they were your coach out on the field. Maybe it's a family friend. And then, a therapist usually doesn't write a letter of recommendation because that's not the relationship that you have necessarily, but they definitely can be a person on your support team to offer wisdom and guidance and maybe check in as far as accountability goes. And then at the bottom there, of course, your college and career advisor, yours truly. Y'all all know that I am on your dream team. I cannot be the entire dream team, which is why, you guys are going to talk to your family friends, talk to your teachers here, and be able to actually truly write down that list of who those people are and take an inventory of them. Especially when you're writing down those teachers, you're going to want to be able to think about why as well. And it, there can be lots and lots of different reasons, and we'll talk about that as we get closer to the end of the school year. And then of course, at the beginning of the next school year, when you guys are seniors. Kind of wild. Sorry. That never gets old. I say that over and over again. I'm like, you guys are seniors and it's wild. But yeah, so that when I talk about the dream team, this is who we are identifying, and we're going to work on that later on this week in English. Okay, so before crossing the threshold, for those of you who maybe don't hear that word often, the threshold, being the doorway, you're passing through the door into this process of planning. There are a few questions in particular that are really important to think about and talk about with your family and your friends and identify. The reason you want to do this is because you want to be able to really truly own this path that you're pursuing, right? And to be able to know that you are putting your full heart into it and it's something that you want. You got to be able to know these things. You got to know the answers to the question of why do you want to go to college? If you can answer that question, it doesn't have to be a paragraph essay. But even if you're just able to say I really love learning and I know that college is the next step. There are more things that I want to learn about and really focus in on. I'm excited for independence and learning about myself as a whole person. So there are lots of different answers that can be identified there. But it's important to be able to know why you want to go. If you are not super confident about answering that question today, that's okay. Just, write what you can or say what you can, talk about what you can. And then, and you can revisit these questions too, as you go through this process. What kind of learning environment is the best fit for you? Okay, so this one is really important. Before you even start thinking about what colleges or institutions you want to look at, think about how you learn. Think about what you know about yourself as a learner. Are you somebody who would prefer to learn mainly hands-on? Or are you someone who is comfortable with picking up a textbook or reading content online and then, answering questions and thinking critically about that? So that's something to think about. Are you okay with receiving instructions in a huge group of people and receiving information in a large classroom with lots of people? Or do you prefer to be in like a really small group so that you have the chance to ask questions? That's another thing to think about. So think about like the way that you learn and what you know about yourself from your experiences here at Crosstown, and maybe from other schools that you've been to before Crosstown. Before, you know, like take that into consideration as you, and you will like in the next steps. So the last question being, what do you want from the college experience? That's a hard one to answer, you know, because like you guys are in high school, and part of being in high school is like actually being very present here and not knowing what is out there. Okay. So, you know, I feel like it's a really hard question to answer, and it doesn't have to be answered today. And it doesn't have to be, you know, it's going to be what it's going to be. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just know that like, that's something to be thinking about, is like, what do you want out of this? What do you want to have happen? Are you looking to join different clubs and activities and organizations to make an impact in that campus community? Are you more interested in making impact outside of the community? Are you really excited to meet new people and have new opportunities, or explore internships, or travel abroad? You know, those are things to think about too. I'm going to move to the next slide. Okay. So this is kind of this, I'm actually going to go back to the last one, because this is kind of where we're crossing into the threshold, right? Crossing over and thinking about those questions of what we want for college. And then once we start thinking about that college list, like those two slides kind of merge, where you think about, and it sounds cheesy, but honestly, like close your eyes, you know, like you close your eyes and imagine like, what does your actual ideal school look like? Thinking about things like, is it in a small town? Is it in a medium-sized town? Or is it in like a really large city? Is the college itself really large, or is it really small? Or is it medium? Medium's not on there, but that's a possibility too. Does this college have a specific program of study that you're interested in? You'd be surprised. There are some colleges that are pretty big and brand name that don't have the programs that some of our students are looking for. And so of course they move on in their search. And then this last question, what does the college's racial and gender diversity look like? That is something that has been very important to Crosstown students as they have been moving on into that next phase. Like that's a question that comes up a lot. So I think that like these are things to kind of hold and kind of keep in consideration. But ultimately, the question is, where will I thrive? And that's the question throughout this search. And when you are touring campuses, and like, no matter what kind of shiny, cool things you see, like you really have to think about where, like, can you imagine yourself thriving there? Not just surviving, but thriving, like really growing and flourishing, being, you know, being challenged, but then also rising to those challenges. So again, like these are the things that you want to be thinking about when you're creating the college list. Now, the actual process of researching colleges, this is really exciting, big announcement. Launching next month, like probably at the very beginning of next month, Crosstown is going to start using a different software platform for this task. It's called School Links. It's beautiful and it is equitable and it is all of the things that we love. Very simple design, very user-friendly. Students love it. The couple of students that I've shown it to they were actually seniors and they were like, can I use this like this year? And unfortunately, no. Because they're already through this process. But I'm super duper excited because we have used another software platform before and it has worked okay. But I'm really excited about this new one and the potential for it, because it's going to be a really helpful tool when it comes to searching for colleges. It also has a parent account. So all of you parents out there are going to be able to log in and nose around on the website and search and see all of the different possibilities. And you will be linked with your child's account as well. So that way you can have a little window in. It's really helpful. So again, like parents, you all will see an email about that probably definitely by the middle of April, but that's going to be really exciting to have that tool for your searching. All right, so the actual mechanical part, or I shouldn't say mechanical, but technical part of creating the college list, okay, is on the screen right now. Now, these numbers up here are kind of flexible, as you can see, because, you know, you've got a range of like 8 to 10, right? And though that total can be reached a number of different ways, as you can see in the examples and the categories that are below it. But basically what you want to create is a list of 8 to 10 institutions, which can be a 2-year college, a 4-year college, a trade school, a career path, a military path. It can be any combination of those things, okay? Underneath that line that says 8 to 10 institutions, it says to safety. And what that means is that of the 8 to 10, 2 of them are going to be institutions that we would categorize as safety. And what that means is that with the research that you'll be able to do, which you can do online with just the internet, you can do it, but it's just a little bit clunky. You'll be able to do it through school links very easily. You'll look at different admissions data, and you'll look very carefully. and sometimes I say take it with a grain of salt, but you know, you'll pick 2 schools that you feel like are pretty good fit for you, that you would like to know more about, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're starting with this list so that you can continue to investigate and learn more about. And categorize those as safety schools, meaning there's a strong likelihood based on their data that you feel like you would be accepted if you applied. So that's what that means to be a safety school. Like it's one that you feel pretty safe about being accepted to. And, you know, colleges publish their admissions data. It's all self-reported. So they will publish, you know, their average required GPA and their average required test score. And they will also report a percentage, like an admissions rate that shows the percentage of students who are admitted that apply. And particularly with that last one, with admissions rate, you know, I just parents and students, like there's some truth to that, but I don't want y'all to like get attached to that data because it's not really accurate. There's no governing body out there that decides the mathematical formula for college admissions rates. So all of it is self-reported. And that's what I'll say about that. Because I think y'all can kind of fill in the blanks there, but it's all self-reported. So you can look at it and you know, and maybe use it, but it's some of that is just data that is not entirely reliable all the time. So moving on. Okay, so the next line, it says 3 to 4 target/match. Okay, so these are a target/match or target or match. Sometimes people categorize it either. I use both words. A target school or a match school is one that you feel pretty good about getting into, and hopefully the school that is like, you know, I don't know, your first or maybe second or third choice, like those schools are in that target/match category. So here again, you know, the numbers are kind of like a more or less like three. You definitely want to have 3 or 4 of those. And those are all schools that ultimately, like, you really do see yourself like potentially going to. And that is something that, again, takes research and oftentimes a visit to the school. And then the last one being 2 to 3 reach schools. Okay, so a reach school is a school that, like, when you look at their admissions data, it does not, like, it feels like the self-reported numbers are against you. You know, like, it can feel like, oh my gosh, you know, this college only accepts 10% of the people who apply. Just that, and again, you know, it is self-reported. However, like, when you are looking at maybe like a test score that you have or a GPA as well, like that can sometimes be factored in. That would be, you know, if it's out of your range, basically, that's considered a reach school. It's really important to have all 3 types of schools in your list. Okay. The reason being that if you had all safety schools, then you may not be like challenging yourself enough. Like, you're not getting as much out of this experience of applying as you potentially could. If you choose all target or match schools, gosh, that would be 8 to 10 schools that you are really excited about and you really see yourself going to. And that's a lot. Like, that, we want to kind of narrow it down. Okay. And then the last one being these reach schools. Now, gosh, if you had 8 or 10 reach schools, it's not a practical, realistic situation when it comes to planning. Like, we want to make sure that you have a variety so that you feel comfortable and confident about your applications, and also just that, like, that they're places that you want to go, that are a good match for you. So that's really truly what's most important here, is that these schools are the right match for you, they're the right fit for you, not the other way around at all. We're definitely looking for, again, the place that you're going to thrive, right? Like, that's the word, those are the words that we're going to repeat this whole process. Where am I going to thrive? Where is the place that I want to learn? I feel like that might be it for my slides, but I want to open it up and let y'all have the chance to ask questions. So if there's anything that came up in this meeting, you know, in the presentation that you that sparked a question, let me know. Unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat.
Hey, this is Heather. I think I missed a part. You started talking about you were alluding to something like not good information out there, or referencing something. Could you repeat that part, or what you were referring to?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was talking about how, you know, colleges self-report their admissions rates, and there is not a governing body out there that that sets the mathematical formula for those rates. And so I think that it is, in some ways, it is a good thing to look at those rates, right? Because we want to be able to understand some of the data that is coming out of these schools, as far as how many people apply, and especially like when admissions rates will drop for acceptances. But at the same time, it can be like this weird numbers game that people can get attached to. And so I just want to let you all know that like, to look at those numbers, and that they are sort of relevant. They're definitely relevant in the case of like some students who say, well, I want to apply to all of these, are the colleges that I want to apply to. And then, like, if you, mom or dad or grandparent, go and look at the acceptance rates, and you see that all of them are like 10%, 6%, 15%. It's like, oh, like let's add some more schools that have some higher acceptance rates as well. I will say that you will see, and your students will see, that like a lot of the name brand schools have really low acceptance rates. And that is because they are name brand schools and they want people to apply so that the more applications they get, the more rejections they can send out because they only have a certain number of spots. And then that puts their numbers, their acceptance numbers lower and lower and lower, like the rate goes down. And that makes them seem more attractive for the people out there who are really competitive about it all. Our approach is much more a right fit for our students. We're not, we are supportive of them in going to and in pursuing different colleges, but at the same time, it's not a one-sided deal. It's, our students everywhere can really get caught up in that idea of like, am I good enough? Is anybody going to take me? It's like, yes, they're going to take you. They'd be lucky to have you guys. And it's actually the other way around. This is about what the best fit for Clara is and what the best fit for Evie and Larry and Malachi. Like we just want to try to find the very best fit for them rather than it be the other way around. So again, I hope that I know that was like a little bit of an ambiguous statement where I'm like, pay attention to the rates, but don't pay attention to the rates. Just know.
No. It sounds like take them with a grain of salt kind of thing, maybe a little bit. Yeah,
like they can be helpful in some cases, but I just don't, I discourage anyone from getting like super attached to them is all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah, great question. Great question. Any other questions coming up that you're thinking of? Mindy, do you have a question? All right.
I don't. Sorry. Roman. Oh.
Oh, they're having dog drama. All right. Well, listen, we're going to work on, again, I'm just kind of like reviewing what I said before. We're going to work on the dream team, identifying who the dream team is. And like I said, you can easily probably think of those students can think of those people, but it changes things when you actually have to like write them down and set the intentions and think about why these people are on your dream team. Why would you choose them? And then, so we're going to work on that some this week. And then we're also going to kind of answer those threshold questions about like, why are we doing this? Are we doing this because Miss Leah is invading your English class and she's making you do it? Or like, what are the things about each of us that make us want to keep learning and keep pursuing what's interesting and the things that we're passionate about. So in the month of April, that's when those college lists will like really, really come together. If you or your child want to like already have some in mind, like maybe you had a little bit of time over spring break or the opportunity to tour some colleges, it's okay to start that list. Oh, and I'll say this too, this is important. The list is going to evolve at all the time. So students who are here and parents too, like when you create your list that we will definitely have in April, you are not necessarily bound to that list. You are not married to that list. That list is going to change and change over the next 6 months. Like it's not something that you're stuck with forever and ever. That is something that is always growing and changing. So please know that like you can add schools, you can remove schools. It just kind of naturally happens. So I know that in the slides, it recommended that you would have 8 to 10 schools. Yes, ideally, we want to have a minimum of 8. but we don't want to get too crazy and go up to like 16 or 14, because what happens when you have a lot of schools in the list is that you get kind of spread thin, and it's harder to see like the really, really wonderful things about maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of your schools. Like you really do want to be able to focus in on the schools that you're interested in. So yeah, I'm so glad that y'all got this information tonight. And for those of you who weren't here, if you have questions, you can always email me. I put my email in Parent Square and everywhere else. But I'm also here to remind those of you who are here that tomorrow night is the college fair at Briarcrest Christian School. Our juniors exclusively were invited, which was really kind of them to invite us. So I told our juniors before spring break that it would be really awesome if everybody shows up, get some information, see your friends outside of school, maybe nose around Briarcrest and snoop on the work that they might have on display. We can see some inspiration from them. And yeah, like parents, you can get an idea for just what's out there. It being a small school hosting the fair. So I hope to see you all tomorrow night. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't remember exactly what time that is. I want to say 5 to 7, but hopefully I don't have the timing wrong. But anyhow, glad to see y'all tonight. Thanks for coming. And
Hey, I looked it up at 6 to 8.
Oh, good thing you did that, because I said 5 to 7, 6 to 8, everybody.
6 to 8, yeah.
Thank you, Heather.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. So I know I'll see all of you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at Briarcrest Christian School. And I hope you all have a good night. And yeah, email me if you have questions. Okay, there it is. Thank you so much, Heather. She put it in the chat. Briarcrest.
There's a good list of folks going to be there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm excited for us. So I will see all of you there.
All right. Thanks, Leah.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.